Good morning, ladies. My talk today is on healthy hacks for the non-kitchen queen. Now, we all lead busy lives, but women who are successful business operators or entrepreneurs often have more challenges ahead of them than most of us do. And so it's even more important to heed some of the advice that I'm going to talk about today. We all want to be healthy to have the maximum energy and concentration and to be able to care for our family, our friends, and ourselves and our clients. So it's really important for us to try and have easy ways to maximize our energy, time, and health without spending hours in the kitchen slaving over a hot stove. Now, my name is Caron. I've helped thousands of people get healthier and lose weight over more than 40 years. And my passion is actually helping women over 50 lose 10 kilo, which is 20 pounds or more for good without giving up their favorite foods like chocolate or wine. Many of my clients are professional women. Some are retired. Most have many commitments, elderly parents, children, and some have grandchildren. I myself have 3 children, a couple of grandchildren, and I live with my youngest daughter and 2 dogs. My parents are elderly, and my father's got Alzheimer's disease, so I care for them as well. Now, the world is a changing place, and if you haven't got the time, desire, energy, or skill to cook, then the ideas that I'm going to present to you today are going to be really helpful. But before I begin, I want to let you know if you do have any questions as I go through my presentation today, please drop them in the chat. And if I don't get a chance to answer them, please be patient and I'll get back to you with those answers either in the chat, or if you want to, you can also DM me and I can get back to you there as well. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to offer a couple of gifts that will help you, which offer extra information from what I'm about to share with you now that are very, very valuable, and they're the types of gifts that I give my private clients. Now, to live a healthy, fulfilled, and happy life, and to be successful with staying or becoming healthier and maintaining our weight or becoming slimmer, we must still continue to live our lives. We can't isolate ourselves in our homes. We've got to still do the things that make life worth living. But there's potentially very many difficult specific areas that people fall down. And these areas involve some of the things I'm going to talk about today. On a daily basis, this is what I help my clients with. And I'll give you some insight into these areas and some really helpful tips. But first of all, let's look at our why. Why do we want to change, or why do we want to improve what we're doing now? Can you relate to any of this? You're on the run. You're on the road. You're running from meeting to meeting. You're hungry. You haven't got anything prepared. You have to grab a takeaway, or you have to grab what passes your lips across your path. That may not be the best choice. Your energy levels start to drop. You lose concentration. You may find that your mood changes and you're less able to help your clients with what they need, or or your families with what needs they have. Apart from that, our health can suffer, and if we are not looking after ourselves, then we are unable to help our clients or help our families either. If we don't live a long and healthy life, then there's nothing left for anybody. So our health is our best wealth, for without it, we have nothing. Now, I'm going to talk about some options that are really health, time, and weight friendly. The first one is eating out. Now, everyone eats out. Most of my clients get always this information on the healthiest choices, the technical choices. But when you're a busy, successful woman, you may need to eat out more often. And it's often if you're traveling or if you just like to have many holidays, you're having business meetings, you're on the road, you haven't got time to come home, or you can't cook and don't want to eat what you prepare. There's many reasons why it's important to eat out properly. It's also a part of our life, and we share eating out with our friends and family. It's part of what makes our life enjoyable. To know the technical choices of how to order in any eating out situation, whether we're going to a friend's house, grabbing a takeaway, going to a restaurant, and there's so many different cuisines to choose from, it can be mind-boggling to know which ones are the best choices. And this is what I help my clients with and what I'll share with you some tips today. So knowing the best choices is important, whether you're going Thai or Chinese or Indian or grabbing a takeaway. But knowing what the best choices are is only the first step. There's two other areas people fall down when eating out. The second area is that we often eat out with others and we've got other people's influences. We need to know how to manage others who may offer us foods without hurting their feelings. We often say yes when we don't want to say no. The offer of food is often also with the offer of love and friendship, and we don't want to refuse the love or friendship. So we eat the food. But we need to dissociate those two things, and there's ways to go about that. There's a number of ways to handle accepting food offers and how to use escape techniques as well as assertiveness techniques so that you don't end up consuming what you don't want to have. The other area that people fall down is self-motivation. It's important to have internal motivation when we're faced with temptation, because often that's when we fall down too. All the knowledge in the world isn't going to help us, even if we know the best choice to have at an Indian restaurant. But then if our internal motivation falters, we may end up choosing what we know we shouldn't. So it's knowing how to harness that internal motivation, which is also important at that time. Now, if we have a look at those three areas, we've got the technical choices with eating out, to know the knowledge, managing others, and then managing ourselves. There's also tricky times, holidays with eating out, because often on holidays, whether it's work-related or leisure-related, we eat out more often, so it becomes more important. Also, if we're busy, we may need to grab food on the run, grab a takeaway or eat out, or even just dial up for pizza. We need to find ways to save time, otherwise it becomes too tempting. Now, I'm going to go through a few of the technical choices and a few ways to manage. So let's go through some of those. Aim to apply the general principles of eating healthy and losing weight when you try and choose from the menu. So looking at something like low-fat choices, grilled, not fried, less creamy sauces, they're better ones to opt for, and those that have more vegetables in them. If you're not sure which ones are best to choose, you can always ask waitresses or the chef to see how something is prepared if it's not obvious from the menu items on the menu. Try and choose lower protein foods and have those that are grilled rather than deep fried or in creamy sauces. And salads, try not to go for those with too many soggy dressings. If possible, the dressing on the side is always best. Take care with alcohol too, because alcohol can weaken good resolutions and lead to extra eating, but also in itself, too much alcohol has extra calories and isn't good for our bodies. Try and choose the lower calorie drinks in preference to fruit juice. Controlling hunger. A lot of people eat out and they eat out late, or they let themselves get too hungry before they eat. So it's important to control hunger before eating out, and that helps with the willpower. Try not to go hungry. Have a healthy snack beforehand, something like a handful of nuts, a piece of fruit, a few crackers with a slither of cheese, healthy homemade cakes or muffins, or pretzels. These types of things are good to have, or a bowl of homemade soup if you've got one handy. Try and be aware of how much and what you're eating. Often when we're socializing with others and we're eating out at the same time, we can lose touch with how much we're eating. And if something has a lot of gravy on it, like a roast or a creamy or cheesy sauce, you can push some of that aside and not have all of that. And even if it's chips that come on the plate, push those away. If possible, even ask for the meal with no chips and double the salad, even if it's not an option. Try and enjoy the meal and the company. If you're at a social gathering, try not to hover over the supper table because that makes it easier to eat more food. Try and look at the conversation as one of the main areas of enjoyment when eating out. Alcohol is fine, but be careful how much you have. As I mentioned, a few glasses is good, or so that you don't need to feel deprived of having a drink. Alcohol is a nice lifestyle choice, and many women like a glass of wine with their meal. You don't have to give it up, but try to make a little go a long way and be aware of how much you're drinking. Specific cuisines, if you really fancy Thai or Indian, or you love Chinese, it's really good to know the best choices and the worst choices from these different cuisines. For example, if Chinese is something you fancy, you need to know that the worst choices are things like sweet and sour pork, honey chicken, lemon chicken, special fried rice. These choices are high in sugars and or fats and calories. But the better choices, if you go Chinese, are things like beef or prawn or chicken in black bean sauce with vegetables, or chicken or beef or prawn chop suey, or chicken and cashew nuts. And you can always get extra stir-fried Chinese vegetables, and you're always better off with steamed rice instead of special fried. So these sorts of things are good to know, to have up your sleeve, these tricks. My clients get all the popular cuisines, the best and worst choices, and there's more than 500 better options that you can choose. So you don't have to deprive your taste buds. If you'd like 50 of these better options, DM me or drop a message below this presentation and I'll get these to you. Maximizing your motivation. Technical knowledge, managing people, we got that down pat. We've got to maximize our motivation. Even if we know the best choices, we've got to follow through. A good thing to do is have a list of reasons why you're going to be healthier. How's it going to benefit you? And or if you want to lose a few pounds or be slimmer, how's that going to benefit you? Then you can compare those benefits with the immediate taste of the food that you're going to eat. So if sweet and sour pork is something you really don't want to order very often and you're finding it tempting, then compare at that instant moment in time the benefits of losing weight and or being healthier and the feeling you're going to get from that in the future to the immediate short-term pleasure of that food, eating that food. And it's important to look and compare at this point. Human beings are motivated by short-term gratification. We're motivated by how we want to feel. But rather than being motivated by how we want to feel now, let's be motivated by how we want to feel in the future. So delay that gratification. Think of how you want to look and how you want to feel with all that energy you're going to be able to have and what you'll do with it. Then the temptation to have that sweet and sour pork will be less. If you've got temptation that's only arm's length away, there's ways to talk yourself out of it as well, other ways. And you can maximize your willpower and mind power using a 4-step process. And I cover this more with my clients and in my Choose to Lose Weight Loss program. So I won't have time to go into that today. Managing people. If you live in a household and somebody is making it hard for you, it becomes more difficult. Friends and family really need to know what your goals are. And if someone keeps tempting you all the time, you need to be assertive with them. It gets harder to say no. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is holidays and work holidays and eating out and staying in hotels. it often becomes so much more important to eat out properly because there's not many choices. If you're eating out frequently, breakfast, lunch, and dinners, you need to be able to manage that well. And even having snacks, if you get hungry in between meals, have healthy default snacks with you so you don't get tempted by other options that might cross your path. If you're on the road at home or on the plane frequently, have options in your default non-perishable options in your bag, in your briefcase, in your glove box of your car, and in your pantry. Healthy snacks that you can take with you, a handful of nuts in a little bag or container. Healthy bars, at least in Australia, for example, you can have a health star rating on bars. So I often tell my clients to get a 4.5 or a 5 health star rating bar and try and get under, say, 180 calories. You can also take little packets of pretzels or special brands of popcorn, which are lower in fat. And if you can, grab hold of some fruit, or if you've got a fridge or a microwave where you're staying, you can also put some yogurt in there, some no sugar, low fat yogurt, and a few other fresh items to take with you during the day. It's always good to be prepared and to have something to fill your stomach so that you can maintain your energy levels and that you don't get tempted. Eating out is number one. Now, number two, if you don't want to spend too much time in the kitchen, is purchase some pre-made, healthier, ready meals to have in your freezer at home. There's many more available now in the supermarkets. So look for those that are lower in kilojoules, higher in protein, higher in vegetable content, lower in saturated fat and salt and sugars. Know how to read the labels and get the best ones to buy. My clients, for example, get the latest lists all written up and analysed. We've just finished the latest list, which 35 products in Australia did make that list, and they achieved the nutritional benchmarks of less than 10% fat, less than 3% saturated fat, less than 420 milligrams of sodium per 100 grams, at least 2 serves of vegetables, many 3, and at least 15 grams of protein per serve, and many of them got much more than that. Meal kits. A bit more work. You can get home delivered meal kits. For example, HelloFresh in Australia, where a meal gets delivered with all the ingredients and recipe and you just prepare it. The disadvantage, you've still got to prepare it. A little less work is home delivered meals, complete meals. For example, in South Australia, you can get light and easy frozen delivered dinners. Some are better than others. It's important to choose the more nutritious and calorie controlled options, and they're always, the new information is often on the website. If you want to prepare your own meal and you've got the time, or you've got a partner who's happy to do that, that's great. And it's actually really what I recommend. Homemade is always best for taste, nutrition, and variety. And there's some tricks, however, to be able to do that when time is really limited or you haven't got a partner who can help you. Pre-prep or cook in advance. So I often tell my busy clients, and even many of my clients, to consider a cooking marathon, because you can save time, you can save energy, money, and ingredients and shopping. You also have the convenience of having a ready meal already waiting for you. You can refrigerate or freeze for later. So if you know you've got a busy week ahead and Sunday is your laziest day or Sunday night, you may want to choose a half a day, a fortnight where you prep, you freeze, and then you've got options ready for you for the week ahead. Then when you get home after a long, hard day, you haven't got to think about what to eat. You've got a selection of options in your fridge or freezer waiting to just be warmed up. This is a great option to consider with some of the other ones that I've mentioned previously. It's great to know when you get home hungry, you've got options to consider. So then it's not too easy then, or it's easier to not have to ring for pizza or grab a snack on the way home or drive through a drive-through and grab KFC or hot chips. You don't want to be leaving it that long before you think about what you're going to have for dinner. It's nice to be able to look forward to what you've already got as an option. And then if you've got with you a healthy snack, then you can always have that while you're driving home. Many foods freeze really well, and in cold weather, winter or fall, foods such as casseroles, soups, curries, chilies, pasta sauces, these are things that you can make in bulk and include lots of vegetables with all colours of the rainbow in them. Include some lean protein in these foods with these meals, meat or chicken, or even legumes, different types of beans, borlotti beans, lentils, and plenty of vegetables. And that becomes a really healthy meal. Limit the fat in the cooking, even extra virgin olive oil. Too much of it isn't good for overall weight control. Some is good, it's heart healthy, but too much of a good thing can still be fattening, so be careful. If it's warm weather, then you can also prepare some chilled foods ahead of time. For example, salads can be pre-cut up. Some of these menu alternatives I'm going to go through below now, and some of these may appeal, but they're only just general ideas. You may like other options. Everyone is different and has their own unique needs and taste buds, medical needs, time constraints. So here's just a few ideas. Breakfast. Some people don't eat breakfast. Let's start with breakfast. Some people don't have a habit of having breakfast. They haven't got a time. They haven't got the time. They rush out the door. They've got an early start, or they can't stomach food first thing in the morning. So you can always take breakfast with you or have it as morning snack instead. You may choose to take something and eat it in the car, or take something and have it before you start work, or even at your first break. If you want something pre-prepared, you could always take a healthy homemade muffin or cake and then warm that up if it's been kept in your freezer and have that either on the way or at work. You could take porridge or even have that before you leave home. Porridge in the instant sachets are easy also for transportation. Cold cereals, try and choose whole grain cereals, at least a 4.5 or 5 health star rating in Australia, and couple that with some milk or yogurt. The plant-based varieties are also good, and some fruit helps top off that meal. Or cereal options include toast, muffins or crumpets, but do combine that with protein. It helps the energy last a lot longer. Something that's quick to prepare to top toast with are things like nut butters, peanut paste, light cream cheese, or you could have melted cheese. A little bit longer would take to make eggs or baked beans, but there are also other good quick options to have on toast for breakfast. And on days that you can cook, have some tomatoes or spinach or mushrooms with that breakfast too, to bulk up those healthy, colourful Mediterranean style vegetables. Pancakes can even be made on weekends if you make them the right way. So wholemeal flour, skim milk, minimal fats, and then you can top with no sugar jams or no sugar syrups and yogurt, or you can make ricotta or cottage cheese cream with vanilla bean paste and sweetener, and that can be a cream substitute, but also offering protein. You can make that in advance as well as leave it in the fridge. Here's some practical tips now. If you have to grab and go, so I'm going to mention those. I'm just going to get some of my notes here so that I don't forget anything for you lovely ladies. It depends on your workplace. If your workplace has a microwave, has a fridge, and most do, that you can actually take things in at the beginning of the week. So one of my clients, a school teacher, when she first came to see me, her life was hectic. She was a full-time school teacher, had a young family, and she drove to work for an hour and drove home. And she had many traps on the way during her day, eating in the car on the way through boredom or hunger, sometimes late nights where she would have to have a school meeting and she wasn't prepared. And anyway, this particular lady's lost 12 kilos, and how we managed to help her was implement some strategies such as these ones. She prepared Sunday night a container of extra foods to take for work, lunches and snacks, so that all she needed to do on the day, as she went through the day, was to prepare that just before eating lunch. So she took all her bread and sandwich fillings and wraps. She had a toasted sandwich maker at work as well, so she could toast it on a cold day. She took her snacks, default non-perishable snacks, with her that she could have when she was hungry, so she wasn't tempted by other things that crossed her path. We also set up for her a chocolate indulgence for the week, so she knew she could look forward to having her favourite little indulgence at the end of the day when she wasn't rushed and she could sit down and eat her little treat mindfully. And on the weekend, she had a few glasses of wine she also looked forward to. Now, lunches, as weather cools down, it gets harder for a lot of people. Try not to be tempted by hot pies, pasties, hot chips, and particularly if you're out and about, these become too easy to grab. And if food is laid on at work, many of my clients are teachers or nurses, or they're in hospitals or businesses where food's laid on, then it becomes more tempting when you can not only see the food, but you can smell the food as well. And that increases the desire to have it. So have something else that's going to be better than the options available, then you won't miss what you're not having. You can't take away something first without replacing it with something else. Here are some yummy lunch ideas. Sandwiches, soups, homemade wraps, rolls, sandwiches with lots of salad, lean protein, minimal butter, homemade veggie soups, or you can also buy prepackaged, long life or fresh now. Just check the label to make sure you're getting the healthiest. Baked potatoes filled, leftovers reheated for lunch. Take what you've had the night before and warm it up. Or healthy takeaway options from the grabbing on the road that I've already mentioned. So snacks, if you're hungry, always make sure that you heed your mother's advice. Always be prepared. You never know what your day holds in store, when you'll get hungry and when you'll need a snack. So always make sure you've got something available. Evening meals, have options available ahead of time if you can, but also have ingredients in the fridge that you can quickly prepare at a moment's notice. Balance out your meal with healthy starchy vegetables, pastas, rice or potatoes with lean protein, meat, chicken, fish or legumes, and plenty of green and orange vegetables. Add flavour and satisfaction with lots of herbs and spices and variety so you don't get bored and look for excitement elsewhere. Cook in bulk and have regular cooking marathons. And some people like a sweet finish to their meal, and that's okay. Look for desserts that are fruit-based if you can. So fruit and yogurt or fruit with low-fat, no-sugar ice creams, there's plenty on the market. In my office at my clinic, I have a huge display of all the better products in the supermarket, and I give all my clients those lists as well. Makes it easier so you don't have to spend hours looking at the fine print on food labels. But if you do need to look at the labels, it's important to spend time choosing the right one. Looking for those products that are lower in fat, saturated fat, salt, sugars, and higher in protein and free vegetables. If you've got a rating system in your country, in Australia, we have the star rating system. Look for those products with a high star rating in a particular food category. For example, the breakfast cereals, you can get a lot here in Australia that are 4.5 or 5 star rating. They're the ones that I advise my patients. But if we're looking at something like dairy, we want to compare just the dairy category in cheese, for example. You have to compare apples with apples, not apples with pears. So if you're comparing products and labels, look at one particular food category. Time-saving measures. Food access or shopping. This is my final area, ladies, and this is going to be so helpful for saving time. Home delivered meals. You can get complete meals delivered, light and easy, or others in Australia, and in other countries, there's other meal delivery services. See if they have more nutritious and lower calorie options. Many of those are listed on their website. That can be an option to have available as well. Also, meal kits are another option where you get delivered the recipe and the ingredients and you prepare it yourself. It does take a bit more time. The disadvantage of that is you cannot bulk cook and freeze. and it's more time therefore in the kitchen, but it is convenient. The next option is for home delivery options and time saving, is you can get your groceries delivered, fruit and veg as well, and also fresh fish and meat, and your supermarket orders. So that saves you having to visit the supermarket. Time-saving tips for the kitchen. You can save dishes, shopping, electricity, preparation, and shopping time by reinventing or repurposing your content of a meal, just like you repurpose your content for social media. For example, if we look at taco mince, we might start with lean mincemeat, the 5-star rating one, and we might make taco mince with an easy spice mix, capsicum and onion, saute in a little oil. That becomes a burrito, or with salad and salsa and yogurt, or sour cream, or light sour cream if you would like that. The next night or the night after, you might turn your burrito mince into spaghetti bolognese. So by then you've already got the chili in there. You can add some garlic and Italian Mediterranean herbs and Italian vegetables like capsicum, mushrooms, spinach, eggplant, and tomatoes. And that way then it becomes a bolognese. Put some extra garlic, Mediterranean spice, and some red wine in there, and there you've got a bolognese sauce. That can turn into a lasagna. So then you make a lasagna, and that can be the sauce layer in lasagna. You can also multitask ingredients. For example, we could start off with roast vegetables and cook a few platefuls, a few oven slides of roast vegetables. We could have those with a meal, but we could also then turn our roast vegetables into a roast vegetable pasta sauce, or we could use some of our roast vegetables in a salad. And add some lovely, fresh, crispy, crunchy lettuce and onion to add the texture, and we got the flavour from the roast vegetables, and then we can add a nice dressing and some herbs. We can also use those roast vegetables again for a toasted wrap or sandwich. So one lot of preparation, but then it can become multiple things. So that delights our taste buds and makes us not become bored in the kitchen. So then we don't have as much tendency to look for other things that may be stimulating our taste buds, like foods high in salt and fat and sugar, like chips and lollies and chocolates and cakes and biscuits. These types of foods, too much of them is not going to be good for our health. A little of what we really fancy, though, is really good to know that we can have it in controlled amounts. And last but not least, using commercial shortcuts, curry pastes, pasta sauces, spice mixes, stir-fry sauces. There's so many on the supermarket shelves, but try and choose those that are low in fat, low in sugar, low in salt, and you can always add your own lean protein, all those low-calorie orange and green vegetables, and then you've got a quicker meal. You haven't had to spend the work creating those flavors in the first place. But it's important to add things to those sources and just use those as a starting point, and still compare the labels on these products for those that are the healthiest options before you buy them. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope this has been helpful for you. If you would like me to send you 3 of my favorite bulk cooking recipes that can be frozen and 50 of the healthier takeaway and restaurant options, please DM me or send me a message, or drop a message underneath this video. And if you would like to know more about my services, just send me a DM. Thank you.